Well, howdy, y'all. This is Clay.
And I'm Lloyd.
And this is Iron Sharpening Iron with the Kahler Boys. Today is what, the 4th? Is it the 4th?
Is it?
It's the 5th.
It's the 5th.
September 5th, Thursday.
Creeping by us,
I'm telling you, man. We got some stuff coming up in the world scheme of things that we're going to be discussing today. But before we do that, I'm going to suggest we dive into the Word.
Yeah, we ought to, because I'm
so
aggravated today. My stomach hurts.
Let's get into the Word. The Word of the day. We're in 2 Corinthians chapter 6. And I'm going to read the whole passage I studied last night with the church, but I'm going to focus on one aspect of it. Paul starts off, he says, "O Corinthians, we have spoken openly to you. Our heart is wide open. You are not restricted by us. You are restricted by your own afflictions. Now in return for the same, I speak to you as children. You also be open. Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with lawlessness? And what communion has light with darkness? And what accord has Christ with Baal? Or what part has a believer with an unbeliever? And what agreement has the temple of God with idols? For you are the temple of the living God. As God has said, I will dwell in them and walk among them and be their God, and they shall be my people. Therefore, come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord. Do not touch what is unclean, and I will receive you. I will be a father to you, and you shall be my sons and daughters, says the Lord Almighty." Last night as we were studying this last verse where God says, I will be a father to you and you shall be my sons and daughters, says the Lord Almighty. And we got to talking about the fact that the moment that you trust in the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ, you are instantly and immediately and permanently elevated into the family of God.
And you know it.
And you know it.
You do know it.
And the thing that I really kind of brought about this is there's nowhere in Scripture that says we deserve our position.
No, it says the contrary, really.
Yeah. But here's the thing that really stuck and really amazed me. There's nowhere in Scripture that says that we deserve our new position. But God says we're worthy of it.
Right.
Not because of you, not because of me. He declared us to be worthy.
The Creator.
The Creator and Sustainer of all declared anyone who's trusted in the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ to be worthy of this position of being in the family of God.
We need more in the family of God.
We do. We absolutely do.
Absolutely bizarro world backwards.
We absolutely do. Yesterday, there was a school shooting perpetrated by a 14-year-old child.
2 students and 2 adults were killed.
Yeah. And
a resource officer.
Several injured.
Resource officer stopped it.
Yeah. Yeah. The cowardice. Of course, it's a 14-year-old kid who in his mind, who knows, maybe thought he was playing a video game.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know. But as soon as he was confronted by a man in uniform, he laid down his weapon and gave up.
Well, it's
which, by the way, was not his weapon.
No.
He's 14.
Yeah. It's the whole soft target thing.
Yeah.
If your target is soft, you're vulnerable to getting hit. As soon as that coward, who is the type of person that's going to attack that soft target, realizes there's going to be any kind of opposition, he's going to be confronted in any way, he picks a different target.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you look at the...
They just don't do it. They won't do it. And it's because they're cowards at heart.
Well, and that's evidenced. That female transgender thought she was a dude in Nashville last year.
Yeah.
She had a different school in mind. Drove by that school, saw that there was a police car out front that belonged to the resource officer, and chose Plan B.
Yep, moved on.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had a thought, and it left me.
That happens at your age.
I know.
You are a great-grandfather.
I am. And I can't get this stupid sciatic nerve off my mind either.
Yeah.
Oh, my. I don't know if y'all have ever had a sciatic nerve issue, but man,
And this thing's been nagging you for what,
a
3
solid
weeks,
week.
almost a month?
No, it's just 1 week.
It's 1 week.
1 week.
Okay.
Last
Okay.
Thursday, I was.
Yeah, I remember.
Wednesday night is when it started hurting.
Mm.
Last Wednesday night, and this is day number 8. And oh man, it eases for a minute or two during the day, and then it comes back with a vengeance.
Right. Something else that was in the news this week. 6 of the hostages being held almost a year now by Hamas were summarily executed when the IDF started getting close to them.
And our leaders in our government and potential leaders in our government had nothing to say.
Well, there you go.
I got to check that.
Yeah, that sounded kind of Chinese. One of the things we talked about last night, it comes out of this, where what agreement has the temple of God with idols? And one of the things we talked about on that was the cycles in Israel. If you ever study the history of Israel in Scripture, there is a theological term for the study of Israel, knuckleheadology.
Yeah.
And Israel would be good, and they're worshiping God, and they're serving God, and they're loving God, and they get bored with God, and they go chase after other gods.
Right.
And so God then raises up a foreign army that comes in, smacks them around a bit. They cry out to God, and God raises up somebody to beat the enemy. And then they love God, they worship God, they serve God, they get bored with God, and they chase after other gods. And one of the things that was required when they would repent, and you see this all throughout the Old Testament, go tear down the high places. All of those altars and all those temples you built to these false gods, go tear those down, and then we'll talk. It says again, what agreement has the temple of God with idols? And I applied this to the current situation in Israel.
Well,
because
in our world too.
Europe and the American government, as it stands now, they're just beating that same drum over and over again. Ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. You can't have a ceasefire with a group of people who have it in their charter that their purpose is to make sure you no longer exist.
Yeah, ceasefire is fantastic if it's
mutual,
right? But if there's only one sided, it's not a ceasefire.
Well, and let me ask you this: can you have a ceasefire with a group of people that are holding hostage over 100 of your people?
You could have a ceasefire, but you can't have a resolution. You can't, you know what I mean?
Well, if you have a ceasefire with that group of people, then you don't get your hostages back.
Well, the next step would be them returning the hostage. That would be resolution, but that's not happening.
You know, the last hostage that they negotiated for, Israel released over 100 prisoners for one hostage.
Wow.
Yeah, these are terrorists that had murdered people in Israel. Do you remember that old bumper sticker that we used to see all the time? It had all the religious symbols on it, said coexist.
I don't remember.
Okay, it had all these religious symbols on it, and it said coexist. And I saw a great response to that one time online. This guy had circled the Islam symbol that's on that sticker, and he wrote, I can't coexist with people that want to kill me."
Well, and just the Islam religion doesn't allow them to coexist.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It just doesn't. I mean, if you're following it, you're not able to coexist. Not and follow it correctly.
Yeah. Israel has to destroy Hamas in order for there to be peace. And then you got Hezbollah, and then you got the Houthis, and you still got Iran.
You're just not going to ever choke out all the evil, man.
No,
you're just not.
Oh, man. Couple things coming up, man. September 12th is the debate.
I've been hearing so much about that. I've heard that she made all kinds of new demands.
Well,
and then last night I heard that her demands were shot down.
Well, here's what I heard this morning.
Okay.
The latest.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's the end, but the latest. That it is very much going to mirror the debate that Donald Trump had with Biden. There's going to be no live audience, no opening statements, no notes, no reference Cereals, and the mics will be turned off when you're not.
And see,
it's not your turn.
that's what I'd heard last night.
Yeah.
Was it was going to be back to that.
Yeah.
And, everybody's like, well, Donald Trump's scared. And then a whole lot of other group of people was like, Kamala Harris is scared. They don't want to debate like that. And so the one group is saying, well, it's Donald Trump is scared. He's just trying to get an excuse to bail out. And the other group is saying the same thing. Well, Kamala Harris is scared. She's just trying to get a reason to bail out. And they're like, that camp is the one wanting to change the rules. And the other one said, no, it's the other camp that wants to change the rules. When in reality, what I found out last night is the rules were set down with the ABC, CBS, those.
Yeah, with Biden.
And with Biden and agreed upon with the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And the Republican Party and the third party of the news people, whichever people are putting it on.
Right.
And they're like, the news people are like, we're tired of your back and forth. We're just going to do it like before.
Yeah.
It worked fine. Nobody would complain. That's what y'all agreed on in the beginning. That's what we're going to do.
Now, I want to go back to Donald Trump is scared. First of all, we've had 4 years of Donald Trump being in office.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump is the only United States president to have crossed over into North Korea.
Not scared.
Not scared. Donald Trump will stop and talk to any reporter, no matter who they're from.
Not scared.
Not scared. Donald Trump has sat down for umpteen one-on-one interviews with podcasters and reporters and
on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah. Kamala, on the other hand,
40-some days now, and she still hasn't. She had a sit down.
She had an 18-minute
pre-recorded, highly edited
with Tampon Tim sitting beside her.
Her little watchdog.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I sent you a picture. We're going to put it at the end of the podcast.
That's sad.
Tampon Tim's family, the extended family that lives in Nebraska, had a family reunion, and their family reunion T-shirt said "Walls for Trump."
That's sad.
When your family,
I saw a video, and we got that AI.
His brother.
We got AI, and you can create a video. I don't know.
Sure.
You could probably create a video of me sprinting down the road. We all know that's not real. But it's a video that a lot of people I've seen, a lot of YouTube and content creators have kind of touched on, and ones that are really good at investigating stuff.
Yeah.
But it's Tim Walsh, supposedly. It looks like Tim. I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
Maybe. But he's like wearing a girl's outfit and dressed in a cowboy hat and doing a little dance.
I have not seen that one.
That's disturbing.
Yeah, that would be. That would be
disturbing,
whether it's AI or not.
I don't know. I don't even want to look it up.
No, I don't.
It's disturbing.
Hey, I appreciate that.
I hadn't had breakfast yet. It's very disturbing.
Speaking of which, you're supposed to bring breakfast burritos this morning.
You know what? I had full intention. I did. And I'm gonna blame it on the sciatic nerve.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man.
About I don't know, somewhere around the 4:30, 5 o'clock. I was in the rough spot. It was killing me. I got this muscle relaxing cream, and I was putting on it, and it's helping a little bit. And then I decided I'm going to go in there and sit in a hot bath. That does help.
Oh yeah.
So I cranked up, run the water until the water was just starting to cool off, and shut it off. Let the water heater. I just replaced that water heater not long ago. It works real well.
Yeah.
Didn't take long. Run it up again. I had it was like boiling crawfish in that bad boy. And I sat in there, and then by the time I got out, got dressed, and looked at the clock, I'm like, I got to go. And I pulled up here a minute late. I was like,
did.
Crap, I'm not getting breakfast. My belly kind of hungry.
That's all right. So this debate, let's talk a little bit about this. The thing that's going to be interesting about this is no notes.
Why did
teleprompter.
she want notes?
Well, because she's a moron.
But besides being a moron, not being very intelligent, I know why.
All right.
The same
security blanket?
Well, the same reason she hasn't had a press conference or talked about anything, or same reason you go on their website and there's no policy.
No policies.
It's because she doesn't have any.
Well,
she wants to fix everything day one.
She does have policies. She just doesn't want to tell us what they are because they're socialist.
And her talking points are fix everything day one.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, this is day 1200 for you.
Yeah,
I don't know the exact,
right.
It's up there pretty good. 3.5 years, whatever that translates. This is day 1200. What do you mean day one?
Right.
You're the last one in the room on every decision. What do you mean day one? She doesn't want to answer those questions.
Well, and
they're not, that softball Dana that
I know
that was just ridiculous. They threw at one little question and she balked at that,
Yeah.
But she doesn't want a actual reporter spitting out actual and then coming back when she gives an answer that is.
I want to see her talk to Tucker Carlson.
I just want to see her talk to any legitimate. I wouldn't care if it was the guy from Channel 6 here in our county.
Right.
That somebody that would ask a follow-up question.
Yeah, yeah.
A follow-up. Ask a follow-up question. When she answers that word salad business.
Right.
Back her in the corner with another question. Ask her something like an investigative journalist should.
Yes.
If you're doing your job.
Right.
You can call yourself whatever. If you're not doing that job, I mean, I'm an airplane pilot, but I don't fly airplanes, but I'm a pilot.
Yeah.
You're not. You're not a journalist.
Right.
You're a paid actor that's putting on a show.
Right.
That's all you're doing.
You're the face of a shadow government.
Yeah.
And that shadow government is an enemy to the United States Constitution.
And you know why she wanted the microphones unmuted?
Oh, yeah, because she was hoping that she could trigger Donald Trump and he would say something offensive.
Well, it's not just offensive. It's if she was waiting for that. You look at all her debates.
I'm speaking,
there
Mr. Vice President.
There
I'm speaking.
There it is.
Yeah.
She's waiting for that opportunity.
Yeah.
So if he went a little long on his time or any opportunity, she was going to say that.
Yeah.
And try to portray him
because she's a boss woman.
She's a bully. He's a bully, and he's just trying to bully women. And they took that little edge away.
But there's another thing too with them having the microphones muted. That it doesn't hurt us, but we're going to miss out on these types of opportunities. Do you remember in the debate with Hillary Clinton when she said it's a good thing that we don't have somebody with the temperament of Donald Trump in charge of our law, and he said that's because you'd be in jail.
Yep. Yeah,
and brought the house down.
We're going to miss them little tidbits.
Yeah. Something else is coming up on the calendar, brother.
What's that?
September 18th. Donald John Trump is going to be in a courtroom in New York in front of Judge Merchan for sentencing. Now, he's already been convicted. He's been convicted. He's guilty in the eyes of the law of 34 felony counts. And this is when he finds out what his punishment is. This is the sentencing hearing.
This could be good.
At this hearing, there is no guilt or not guilt. That's already been established in the eyes of the court.
Right.
The only possible outcomes to what's going to happen on the 18th are going to be probation or jail.
Yeah.
Or house arrest. On September 18th, 6 days after the debate. You got to wonder what's going to happen.
I don't know, man.
Are they going to handcuff this man in that courtroom and haul him off to Rikers Island?
What does that look like Secret Service style?
Yeah.
What does that look like on Rikers Island with other...
What does that look like for the American citizen?
Yeah.
For the Trump supporter. For the independent who's not a Trump supporter.
What you said first, the American citizen.
Yeah.
If they can do that to him, they can do that to anybody.
Oh, they have, and they've proven it.
As soon as what's her name? The little Democrat that just came across the road there, Tabby. No.
Oh yeah, Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi. Why can't I remember her name?
Yeah.
Anyway, as soon as Tulsi,
she talks a lot about this.
As soon as Tulsi said something bad about the Biden-Harris administration, she was put on a terror watch list.
Yeah.
This is a woman that served our country proudly in combat.
Yeah.
And they put her on the terrorist watch list.
Lieutenant Colonel in the
we're wasting
Hawaii National Guard.
Thousands and thousands of taxpayer dollars following her around with air marshal, and she's an American hero.
Yeah. Yeah. True enough.
All because she spoke out against the Biden-Harris campaign. Or administration or whatever.
Speaking of which, something that struck me that I just find to be really fascinating. Okay, so you've got JFK or RFK Jr., who was a Democrat. He is from the quintessential Democrat family.
You look it up in the dictionary, Encyclopedia Britannica, and it's got the
The
Kennedys, right
yeah,
next to the there's a picture there.
He's left the Democrat Party and has endorsed Donald Trump. Okay. You've got Tulsi Gabbard, who was a Democrat senator and a Democrat candidate for president, who left the Democrat Party and is supporting Donald Trump. You have Donald Trump, who was a Democrat.
Right. You got to look around, man.
And there's more. There's more.
There's a bunch more. There's a bunch. I saw another couple people from California.
Well, the head of the Teamster Union spoke at the Republican National Convention.
Dude, and he also spoke out about the Democrats using him and his name and likeness.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to tell you right now, we do not support Harris and Walsh.
Right.
We do not. As a matter of fact, we support Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're seeing a departure from the Democrat Party in a way that just never have before. But
why? Why?
Because these are honest folks.
What else are we seeing in the Democrat Party that we've never seen before?
Well, we're seeing that devolve into
a satanic
death cult.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
let's go back to that school shooting, because you brought this up. We were talking off camera. That school shooting took place, and Kamala Harris immediately comes out and says, we have got to stop the epidemic of gun violence in our country. And every time there's some kind of situation like this, liberal politicians take it as an opportunity to try and infringe on your and my right. By the way, I'm pretty sure, I know for me, but I'm pretty sure for you, I don't think you have ever gone into a school and shot the place up, have you?
No, not one time.
No, but this 14-year-old kid did, so therefore you should be punished.
Well, there was a guy that got a DWI last night, and so they're going to come take your truck tomorrow.
Right.
Because they don't want that to happen anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got an accident.
We got to stop this epidemic.
He caused damage and injury, and so they decided that the best way to fix that is to come get your truck.
Right.
I think mine's on the list too, so don't worry. I've tried to tell them.
We're on a couple of lists.
Yeah, I tried to tell them I lost my truck in a boating accident. They didn't buy it.
Because it was sitting out in the driveway?
Yeah. With the boat hooked to the back of it. It was just like, that ain't right.
But you brought up this point off camera. You said, that it's all about the safety of the children. Well, hang on a second. No, it's not. Number one, a group of people that had a baby killing machine, is the way you put it, out in front of the Democrat National Convention cannot speak to me about child safety.
No.
The fact that we have armed guards in our banks and our grocery stores, but they're fighting having armed law enforcement in our schools. Why? Why are they trying to ensure that soft targets remain soft?
Why is it that these school shootings always come up? And maybe this is put your tinfoil hat on. I don't know. what. Is there a connection? I don't know. But it seems like they always come up around election times too.
There's a lot of things that always come up around election time.
I mean, that's just bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Well, if you reinforced that school and it was safe.
Yeah.
Well, it no longer could come up at any time.
That's exactly
election
right.
Or not.
That's exactly right.
It just couldn't. It just wouldn't come up. And, there's a host of people in this America that would be a good candidate to protect our schools.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, our veterans.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd sign up.
I would too.
Yeah.
I'd sign up and do a volunteer.
Right.
I would sign up. I work nights. I'll do the morning shift. I'll be at that school at 7, work till 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And then another vet can come in.
Right.
And take my spot and work until school gets out.
Thankfully, you and I live in the free state of Texas. This last session, a law passed and was signed into law by our governor that mandated a uniformed law enforcement officer inside of every public school in the state of Texas.
And I think that's fantastic.
I do
that's
too.
A first step.
Yeah.
I think there ought to be more than one.
Yeah,
I
agree.
don't think it ought to have to be a uniformed police officer.
Well,
but somebody.
Yeah, somebody that's trained,
right, that
knows how to handle a situation.
Yep.
That would be willing to step between a gunman and a child.
And I don't want to talk bad about law enforcement, but you look at Uvalde. Those are a bunch of guys that weren't willing, weren't trained. They didn't do it.
No.
I don't think a vet would be that way.
No, you're right.
I don't think a vet would act or handle it that way.
Well,
I think that there's a lot of these law enforcement are undertrained.
Mm-hmm.
They're underage,
underfunded,
dude. They're 20-year-old kids.
21.
Okay,
minimum.
20-some-year-old kid.
Yeah.
At 21 years old, neither one of us had no kind of sense. We had no kind of direction.
I was in basic training in 21.
And you didn't have no sense?
No, I didn't.
I mean, you were headed to a noble position or something you could be proud of. But at the moment, when I was 21, I was absolutely goofy.
Yeah.
I mean, I just, and so I'm not faulting some of these officers.
Right.
But I just think our standards have been low. We talked about this last week. Our standards have been lowered because it's so hard to find employees.
Yeah.
And then when you lower the standards, you get a lower standard of person.
It's amazing how that works.
Yeah. I mean,
but
if A, B, and C is required, then when you hire and you get that person, that person's already been hired with A, B, and C being fulfilled.
Right.
Now we lower the standards and no longer we requiring B, it's just A and C. But when you get to my position where I need you, the one that you're hiring to come help me out, I'm really needing you to be trained in B.
Right.
Why aren't you trained in B? Well, they didn't require it.
But look at it this way. The problem is the pool of applicants.
Right.
Think about, when we grew up, there were a couple of farm tanks that we used to fish. We would ride our bicycles out there and fish these tanks. There's a couple of them that had some real good fish in them. But then there were a couple of them that stopped full of nothing but bluegill.
Yeah.
You take your bass rig to a bluegill pond, and you're not hauling in bass. The only thing available is bluegill.
Right.
And right now, the work pool is full of bluegill.
So what do we do about it?
I don't know.
Well, I do. I do. I am not a fan of defund the police. I think that's one of the most ridiculous word statements ever made.
Yeah.
If we don't have police, then we have
anarchy.
A complete and total anarchy.
Yeah. Somebody
fills the void of that person that was regulating whatever activity. Somebody does. And if it's criminal, then there you go. It's not, you don't defund the police. In fact, you put more money in the police.
Absolutely.
You pay the cop more as a salary.
Right.
You require the cop
more training,
better
training.
2 years of college as associate degree in some kind of criminal associate's degree.
Right.
In the field or 2 years in the military as an MP.
Yeah.
Or maybe 4 years, not 2 years, 4 years in the military as an MP, as some kind of security force.
Right.
Then you can transfer into the civilian life.
Right. Which is what I did.
Right. But you got a lot of people do that with their military field.
Absolutely.
But you got guys that go in the military in a field that doesn't translate into civilian.
Right. Yeah.
When they get out,
you're the company clerk.
They're not doing anything in the civilian life.
Not bashing company clerks. We actually loved you guys because you got us paid.
Yeah. But it's you required a higher salary
and transferable skills.
Higher and you train them, and if they didn't go in the military, then you get a 2-year degree understanding law.
Yeah,
that's a huge problem.
Right.
We have a lot of police officers that don't know the law.
Yeah, you're right.
And how are you going to enforce something that you don't have a clue about?
Well, and it's funny, when I got out of the Army and I got on with the police department there in Louisville. Back then, things have changed. But back then, I didn't have to go through the academy because I had 4 years of experience in law enforcement.
Right.
Let me rephrase that. I didn't have to go to the whole academy. I did have to go to the last 8 weeks of academy, which was learning the Kentucky Revised Standards.
There you go.
I had to spend, the last couple of weeks of the academy. I had to go to that and learn the laws of Kentucky and the ordinances of Louisville. You all right?
Yeah, doing fine.
You're lying.
I am dandy. Golly, that is impressive.
Yeah.
Woo!
Brother, I'm so sorry.
That'll set you right up. But Your Honor.
Folks, I know that the vast majority of the people that watch this are fellow believers, and I'm going to ask y'all to be in prayer for my brother Lloyd that this nerve would let up.
Oh, I'm telling you. And it will. I know it will.
Well, and let's do that. Let's do that. Father God, I lift up my brother right now. You know the pain that he's in, and you know the source of this pain. And Father, I know that you are capable and able. And Lord, I just pray that you would heal this right now and take this pain away. Give him the relief that he needs, Lord. We ask it in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, God.
Absolutely.
Thank you, God, for the relief that is coming.
Absolutely.
But anyway, it's the exact opposite of defund the police.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you get a better qualified person in the end.
But here's the problem. Going back to my analogy, you're still got bluegills
because that's all that's coming.
But that's because it's all that's available.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that all of a sudden we've lost the whole 30-year-old group. They're just gone.
I'm not. All right, let me say this.
Nobody wants to be a cop.
Well, let me say
that's
this.
the problem. Nobody wants to be a cop.
But I'm not just talking about cops. I'm talking about grocery stores. I'm talking about fast food joints. I'm talking about security companies. I'm talking about the pool of people to choose from. It's bluegills.
Well, and there's also nobody wants to work. That's a huge problem we have.
And the ones that have to or want to, they're not the cream of the crop anymore.
Well,
even military, man.
It's because we've allowed it to be that way.
It's because good times create soft men.
Yeah, and
that's why
government handouts is not helping.
No,
when in the mid '80s,
mm-hmm.
I was a framer,
right,
in Wichita County.
Yeah.
When you
now tell the folks what a framer is.
Build houses.
Yeah,
I build houses.
You're a carpenter.
We'd go out there and build your whole house.
Yeah,
and it was typically a 3 to 4 man crew
mm-hmm.
that framed your whole entire house.
Yeah.
And we did everything from setting the windows. I mean, we built the walls, put the roof on. We didn't shingle it. We didn't brick it. We didn't drywall it. None of that stuff. But everything that had to do with the wood stick framing, we stuck up, windows and doors included.
Right.
We would get it in what they call in the dry. It would have black paper on top. And then we'd leave from it. And like I said, 3 or 4 guys would usually be a crew. And you work together every day and you get pretty good and you get pretty quick.
You know your team.
But when you pulled up on your job every morning, there was pickups out there in the street that you didn't recognize. And there was usually grown men standing next to those pickups with a tool belt on,
waiting for an opportunity.
You didn't show up.
Yeah.
Or you were late, or you made the boss mad.
Yeah.
Because they were ready to take your job.
Golly.
Cutthroat. Cutthroat. Come wintertime, there was so limited work that I was a good hand. I was, I have no doubt. I was the last guy on the job. It's what I've always tried to be. The last guy on the job. Last guy get laid off. And there was lots of times that I'm out there gathering pecans
mm-hmm.
to make for Christmas that year.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't enough work. And the work was so cutthroat, man.
And that was with you running side gigs after work, too.
Yeah. And it's just those kind of people don't exist no more. The people that will,
and that's my point,
work like that don't exist. And then I went from doing framing, I moved to Austin. They were building bridges.
Yeah, tying steel.
Mm-hmm. And I remember that same way. And as a matter of fact, I got a very sought after job. There was EBY Construction was the people to work for.
Yeah,
they paid the best conditions. They gave you new tools every so many months. They would give you new tools.
Nice.
Oh yeah, it was just a good company to work for. They provided steel toe boots for us.
Yeah,
at their cost. And then they had pizza parties, which is, I don't know why, it's something huge in the construction. Every week we had a pizza party, man.
That's funny.
It's like, we thought we were doing something. Really would
have
been better off with a bonus or cash. Anyway, they were never hiring.
Yeah.
Never. They never had a slot. And so I was like, well, the guy that I worked for, we started at 6:30.
Yeah.
And they were just down the road from a project that EBY was working on.
Yeah.
And EBY's foreman would get there at 5:30. Well, at 5:30 every morning, he saw Lloyd.
Yeah.
And 5:30 every morning, I asked him for a job.
Yeah.
And he'd turn me down every morning.
Yeah.
And I'd get in my car and I'd leave. And after about 2 weeks, he said, dude, you're here more often than my employees. And I told him, I said, I'll never be late. I give him a little spiel. I said, I just need a job. And my persistence got that job.
Right.
Now nobody wants a job.
No.
Nobody wants to go to work. Nobody's going to go seek after a job and
Right.
go above and beyond to try to get that job.
Right.
And when I went and put my notice in, the other guy, he's like, "How'd you get on there?" He wanted a job there. My boss wanted a job there.
Oh,
I
that's
said,
funny.
"Well, I get my foot in the door. I'll talk to him about you." But I told him, I said, "I've been going there an hour before work every day."
Yeah.
I said, "I meet the foreman at the gate
Yeah.
every day." And he's like, "That's a good idea." I was waiting to see my boss down there the next week.
They didn't have it, huh? So going back to the bluegill, now that we've come to this agreement that we got a lot of bluegills out there, you can take the biggest, baddest, healthiest, best trained bluegill on the planet.
I had never seen the train one.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And you put him before an average sized catfish, and he's not going to make it.
Why is it all bluegill?
Why not?
No, I mean, why is it the pool of employees just bluegill anymore? Why is it we don't have people that are willing to stand out in front of a job?
Because easy times make soft men.
I think it's deeper than that. I think it's deeper than that. I brought this up last week, I think. What did our male teachers look like when me and you were in school?
They were beasts. they were old grizzled veterans. They
didn't have man buns.
No, they did not
carry their sachet purses.
No.
What do we have now?
Yeah. They're wearing makeup. Some of them.
And they need safe spaces.
Yeah.
What in the world happened? Where did
Right.
Where did it turn?
Well,
I mean, we're not that old. You keep saying I'm a great grandpa.
You are.
I am. But we're not that old. It wasn't that long ago that we were children. It really wasn't. 40 years ago, I was 20 years old, man. 20 years old. I'm barely not a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
50 years ago, Clay, I was 10. That's not that long ago.
Right.
50 years. In 50 years, we've lost all manhood.
Right.
What I would really like to study and think about. I don't know. I'm gonna maybe dig into what happened in our society that our manhood.
One thing happened. One thing started in the 1980s, and it has had a massive effect on our men. Processed foods. Processed foods became extraordinarily available in the 1980s. Before the 1980s, there were some, but now everything in the center aisles of the grocery store, it comes in a little plastic package.
Right.
And one of the things that they're discovering, or at least they're talking about, is that the foods that we're eating is lowering the testosterone rate in men. And I think that may be part of it.
And boy, you want to dig deeper into that rabbit hole.
Oh, I'm telling you.
The people that set out our regulations about food are all funded by the food makers.
Yeah.
And that's why we have, that one of the daily recommended doses is added sugar for babies.
Isn't that crazy?
To children.
Yeah.
Added sugar, not natural sugar, not sugar from fruit, none of that stuff.
Do you know
added processed sugar?
Do you know that today diabetes is like 200% higher rate than it was
and if you look
10 years ago?
You look at the food chart and why. I watched a doctor one time say, "You want to know why we have diabetes?" He said, "Look at this food chart.
Yeah.
All this stuff is just
sugar and carbs."
Yeah. He said we're literally poisoning our kids, and then we're the people that are making the rules are getting paid by the people that are making the food.
Let me ask you a question. What do you get when you what are you consuming when you sit down before a stack of pancakes?
Well, if they're good Ohio pancakes, you're consuming a stack of yummy.
Yeah, it is. And that's one of the points. They were talking about this with the processed food. They have food scientists that have figured out the food molecules that trigger the pleasure sensors of the brain. They make this stuff addictive.
Oh, yeah.
Now, nutritionally speaking, what do you get when you sit down in front of that stack of pancakes?
Not a lot nutritional wise. You get a bunch of carbs and you get a whole bunch of sugar.
Yeah.
McDonald's French fries.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff. Real good.
You think?
No, I mean flavor wise.
Yeah. Was my favorite. Was my favorite. Then I looked into why are they so good?
Yeah.
Actually, I saw on social media, I saw a video that triggered me. I was triggered.
Were you triggered?
But what triggered to me means it made me think.
Yeah.
It triggered my, let's look at that. Do you know that they only grow a certain potato?
Yes. Yes.
And then when they harvest that potato, they have to store it in a great big building, and it's a biohazard. Nobody can go in the building because it's so toxic. It will kill you. And then after a certain amount of time,
the toxins leach out of it.
Yeah, and then they can go in and use these potatoes.
Well, and then they take these potatoes and soak them in sugar water.
Oh, yeah. That to make them taste yummy.
Yeah.
That'd make them taste
and then
yummy.
they deep fry them in seed oil.
Yeah.
Which isn't good for you either. Yeah, it's just amazing.
When I found out that the potatoes at some point of their potato process could kill you.
Are toxic, yeah.
I quit eating them.
Yeah.
I just, that day,
right.
I'm like, oh, I'm not eating McDonald's fries ever again. Ever again.
Right.
That's just.
It's kind of like you go to Japan and you order the blowfish.
Yeah.
And for those of y'all that don't know, blowfish has a gland in it that a drop of what's inside this gland will kill you dead.
Kill a pile of people dead.
You take a bite of this and you fall face first in your fried rice. So you're dead.
If the cook doesn't prepare it correctly, you die.
If this chef doesn't know exactly where and how deep to cut,
you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
This is your last
That's your last meal. It better be good. Oh, man.
I like sushi, but, speaking of sushi, I made me a sushi date.
Oh, yeah?
I did.
Is Alex coming in town?
No, I wish he was. That would be awesome.
I know Alex is your sushi buddy.
But Mama and Cindy are gonna go with me. Cindy
there you go.
Cindy said, I've never had sushi.
Really?
And I'm like, no doubt. She's like, yeah. She's like, I just don't know if I could eat anything raw.
Well, did you explain to her not all sushi's raw?
And I did. I told her, I said, I'll help you out. I said, just try it. You don't have to like it.
Yeah.
I don't even care. As a matter of fact, the least people that like it,
the more I get
in the restaurant, is better. Then it's just wide open. I can just get after it.
Hey, I got something good.
Well, yes.
You gave it to me, but take a look at that, ladies and gentlemen.
Shauna Nicole.
That is my niece, Shauna, in her Navy uniform. That is the official photograph.
That's her official deployment photograph.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, we got a link a couple of weeks ago where they offered us up to get that picture, and
there you go.
And so we did, and then we had a whole bunch of copies made.
Oh yeah.
I'm handing them out everywhere. Thank you, Leslie, for getting all them copies made.
I want to talk a little bit about Shauna. Shauna, there's a couple of things. One, in one sense, she is pretty typical. In another sense, she is very atypical. You've got a story. Let's start with the atypical. You got a story about a time she was on a youth group trip.
Oh,
tell the folks about this. This comes from country raising, y'all.
Yeah, she was part of this little group. She went down and actually earned her little ministry there.
Yeah.
She became ordained through this place, and they would go on mission trips.
Yeah.
And they had your typical church van, load them up, let's go to mission trips. And I don't know, there was probably 8 or 10 people on this bus.
Yeah.
And the pastor.
Right.
And his wife. And they were headed to, I think, Alabama or Arkansas. And they leaving South Texas down around Waco. And they took off, and they're off in the middle of, there's nothing out there, just no man's land.
Sticks and snakes.
Yeah. No cell phone, no gas station. Hope you got fuel back a while ago.
Right.
And they get a flat tire. Well, the church has got all this took care of. I mean, they plan for this stuff.
Right.
And they have got service that they pay for.
Yeah.
Will come out.
Like AAA.
AAA, tow your car, fix your car, bring you fuel, change your tires,
right.
All this business. Well, the problem was the old pastor opened his phone and no service, no bars. Nobody has got any bars. Them cell phones are useless.
Yeah.
And so there was 4 young men in their late teens, early 20s.
Right.
4 young women, just the same.
Yeah.
Late teens, early 20s.
And a pastor.
And a grown pastor who is in his mid 30s to early 40s.
Yeah.
Mid to late 30s, something in there, and his wife. And they're sitting there and they're stumped. They don't know what to do. And Shauna says, well, let's just change the tire because that seems logical.
Right.
And every one of them looked at her and said, well, we don't know how. Do you?
And she's late teens, early 20s, right?
Yes, she hadn't had a driver's license more than a couple of years.
Yeah.
But, before she was able to get her driver's license, she had to know how to change a tire. Not just know how, she had to show me that she knew how. She had to go outside and take a perfectly good tire off and take it to the back and back out and take that tire and put it on the front.
Uh-huh.
And then put them back.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want them rotated right now.
Right.
And, why am I doing this? Because you got to know this to drive.
Yeah.
I don't want to know this. Well, I don't care. You also got to know how to check all your oil and fluids, how to change your oil.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to know all this stuff. You're going to know how to jump a battery off.
Right.
The little things that you have to learn this stuff or you can't drive. And she wanted to know why. And I said, the reason why is more selfish, I think.
Yeah.
It's because I can't let you run off.
You want her to be
without
safe.
knowing that if something happens, you can't take care of it.
Right.
So I don't want to be worried all the time. So it's selfish.
Yeah.
So anyway, they said, well, we don't know how. Do you? And they were really sarcastic when they said that.
Yeah.
A little smug. Well, we don't know how, but do you? And she's like, yes. And of course, everybody was shocked and like, do you really? She's like, look. They said, let's act like we got some sense. First off, everybody off the van.
Yeah.
Well, why do we got to do that? She said, because I'm not changing the tire while you're in there dancing around. So everybody else, and she literally had tire changing class right on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Got them up running and moved back down the road. And
they were hero for a day.
They were amazed that she knew how to change the tire.
Yeah. Now, that's the atypical side of Shauna. The typical side of Shauna, how many jobs did she have in her 20s?
Well, she had
trying to figure out what she wanted to do with her life.
She had one consistent job, pretty much consistent. She worked for the mission.
Yeah.
Pretty consistent.
Yeah, at the resale store.
Yeah, but she would leave that and go do something else and then come back.
She did child care for a little while.
That was not a good plan.
No. She that's the typical side.
Yeah.
She didn't know what she wanted to do with her life.
And she explored different avenues and opportunity, and she'd either get bored or it wasn't her thing.
Right.
Move on to something different.
And, vehicles and where she was living and all of that.
Well, and school.
School, yeah.
She went to school and, she was going to be a historian.
Yeah.
And then a teacher.
Yeah.
And then a paramedic.
Right.
And then something else.
Jethro Bodine was either going to be a brain surgeon or a short order cook. He couldn't figure out which.
Yeah. And so she had lots of things she was going to try to do. And then she finally decided to join the Navy.
And she found her way in the Navy. Yeah. I'm just proud.
I will say though, she's had enough of this stupid boat.
Yeah.
But they've extended her deployment like 4 or 5 times. They've been out there for a while now.
I've always said that I couldn't have done the Navy for one reason. I can handle a bass boat for 3 or 4 hours. I don't want to live on the thing. And I've done cruises. I've done.
They have 8-day been living on that thing for months.
I've done an 8-day cruise, and that was more than enough for me.
They've been about 4.5 months out.
And by the way, on a cruise, I'm not having to do a job.
Right.
I'm eating good and going to shows and,
I never have had a desire to go on a cruise.
I hadn't either until my first one. It's a great vacation.
I don't know.
Here's the way I describe it. You go on vacation, you get to your hotel, you unpack in your hotel, and then your hotel travels around to all these exotic places. It's kind of cool.
I guess.
But, and I've got some neat stories from shore tours. One of my favorites, my ex-wife, Vicky, she was the one that got me started on these cruises. I've done like 12 of them and enjoyed every one of them. There have been some times you get into rough sea and that part's not enjoyable. But I have been to Cozumel, Mexico more times than I can even count up in my head. Cozumel is an island. It's a really tropical, beautiful little island. And the first time we went to Cozumel, we did one of the shore tours. And then the second time we went to Cozumel, we went scuba diving on the reef. And then
Have you ever seen somebody that missed the boat?
I have. Yeah. And We've always been real careful not to be that somebody.
Yeah. That's
In fact, they tell you when you're disembarking the boat for your shore tour, they remind you what time the boat is leaving, and they say, now if you get to the dock 2 minutes after that time, whip out your camera because you're going to get one of the best pictures of a ship pulling out of a harbor than anyone's ever gotten. But anyway, one of my favorite times we went to Cozumel, we didn't want to do a shore tour. We wanted to do something different. So we hired a cab driver and said, take us on a tour, show us the island. And so he took us to all the touristy places. And he says, all right, well, there's nothing else to see. And we said, no, we want to see the real island. Not where it's, all gussied up for the tourists. And so he did. He took us to where the folks that live on the island live. And, there's a couple places he's like, all right, now, whatever you do, don't make eye contact, and we got done with that. And he says, there's nothing else to see. And jokingly, Vicky, my ex-wife, says, well, you didn't show us where you live. This dude took us to his house, took us inside, introduced us to his wife and children. We're sitting on the sofa, and she's pouring us lemonade, and one of his kids has crawled up in my lap. That's
pretty good.
Yeah, it was a good time, man.
Pretty neat.
And by the way, there were 4 of us, and every one of us gave this man $100 tip.
There you go. My buddy Donnie, you know Donnie.
I know Donnie.
Donnie, he's been for years. You and Brandy got to go do this. You and Brandy got to go do this. And
it'd be rough with Brandy right now.
It'd be rough with me.
Yeah. Well,
I don't get around very well.
Here's the other thing. With the political climate in our world right now, I don't want to be more than 10 miles away from my house.
That is a huge factor. I don't want to leave this country for sure.
No.
I have no rights everywhere else.
Right.
I barely got rights here that you got to scream about to have them. But it's also the cost.
Oh, yeah. You're going to pay for it.
You're paying a couple $1,000 and then it's gone. And when you get back, all you got left is a sunburn and a story to tell. Well, no, thank you. Now, I figure way better do.
I bet you I can prove you wrong, though. Provided conditions were right, and I offered you that Alaskan cruise.
I would do an Alaskan cruise.
Yeah, you would.
I would do one of them. Even with Brandy right now, we'd go do that. That would be enjoyable. First off, I'm staying in my country.
Yeah.
And it is something that I'm interested in.
Right.
I'm hugely, but I want to do an Alaskan winter cruise.
Yeah.
I don't want the Alaskan summer cruise that is mosquitoes will haul you off.
Right.
I would love to do the Alaskan winter cruise.
Right. And with a hunting tag.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I could handle that. What else I wouldn't mind doing is like that Mississippi boat ride.
Yeah.
That looks pretty neat.
Yeah.
That looks pretty neat. But once again,
paddle boat.
So expensive, man. So I can't afford the grocery store right now.
I know it. Well, and again, that's why I say if all conditions were right. Another cruise that we did, we wound up in Ocho Rios, Jamaica, and I climbed the Dunn's River waterfall.
Did you meet Kamala's family when you were there?
I did not that I know of, and it's an 800-foot waterfall, and that was neat. That was a lot of fun. And then I got to swim with stingrays.
That wouldn't be too bad. I wouldn't mind doing that. I've always wanted to swim with sharks.
Yeah, I have.
In
San Diego.
Go feed them and swim with sharks. I think that'd be pretty neat.
There were so in San Diego.
I've been called stupid and insane and nuts for saying that.
Well,
I just think it would be neat, man.
It all depends.
I want to get in a cage and be submerged amongst the great whites,
right?
And watch that. That would be
that I've not done.
That would be so neat. Dude.
There's 2 times a year. There's this one particular area of San Diego. It's called oh my goodness. No, it's not.
Is it called Oh My Goodness?
No, it's not. I'm trying to remember. La Jolla Cove, La Jolla Shores. There we go. You got La Jolla Cove and La Jolla Shores. 2 times a year, and it's funny because the Scripps Oceanic Institute is out there, and they haven't been able to figure out why this happens. But it's sometime in the spring and sometime in the fall, something happens, and thousands, tens of thousands of sharks come right in.
The nurse sharks?
Yeah, nurse sharks, leopard sharks.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've not personally seen it, but I've seen it on videos and stuff. That is just neat.
And so every when it came to that time of the year, me and a couple of my buddies were glued to the TVs, and the minute that's reported, we grab our snorkel gear and we head out there. And now Nurse sharks couldn't bite you if they want to. They suck sand for a living.
Yeah.
Leopard sharks could, but there's not anything on record.
Yeah, they don't much care to.
Yeah. And so we would go out there swimming with tens of thousands of sharks, snorkeling. I mean, bumping into them,
That'd
man.
be so neat.
And
so neat.
You know that these sharks aren't or can't bite you, but the psychological factor still. I'm swimming beside a 10-foot shark.
Yeah, they're still sharks.
And you could dive down below them and rub their bellies as they swim over top of you.
See, that's just neat.
Yeah, that was cool. I did that every chance I got.
I would like to do like when in Florida where they swim with the manatees. Now you're not allowed to touch them, but
right.
Don't really understand why. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I would like to do that. I think that'd be pretty neat.
Well, another thing that we would.
That's another thing. That's what I told Donnie. I said, I haven't vacationed in all the cool spots in America.
Right.
What do I want to spend thousands to go out of America?
Right.
If I'm going to spend thousands to vacation, there's a lot of cool spots here in America that I haven't seen, haven't gone, haven't vacationed, spent time.
Right.
Or just was in a car and drove by it. Yeah,
that's neat.
Yeah.
It's 75 mile an hour.
But I don't know. I never have been a vacation guy. I've only taken one work vacation my whole life.
Yeah. That was Utah.
Yeah. No, that wasn't a work vacation. I went to work.
Yeah.
That wasn't a vacation.
Oh, you talking about vacation from work?
Yeah.
But now that's not true. You used to come up to Oric every deer season.
It wasn't a vacation. It was a long weekend.
Well, still.
I mean, it wasn't like I took vacation days.
Right.
I didn't get vacation days. The first time I ever got vacation days and took vacation, I say it's only been once. I think I've done this twice. Is me and Brandy went up to Lake Murray, and I spent an entire week sick as a dog.
No.
Running fever.
That's
sick.
awful.
Oh,
that's
it was awful. And I was like, see what I get for taking off work.
So something else that we used to do out in San Diego, it was a lot of fun, is we got into spear fishing.
That would be
I had one of those Hawaiian spears. It's got that big rubber band on it. You pull it back and hold it, and you aim.
That'd be pretty neat.
And we were on this reef, probably about 2 miles off the coast. And two things happened on this trip. One, I jumped out of the boat with my snorkel gear on, and you got all those bubbles in front of your face. Can't see anything. The bubbles start dissipating. There was a barracuda right here.
Yikes!
That was exciting. Then later on that same day, I'm probably about 10 feet deep, and I spear this huge sea bass. I mean, this is nice. This is a good fish. And I've got him on my spear, and I'm swimming back up to the boat, and my buddy smacks my leg. And I look at him, and he points down. And as I'm swimming up to the boat with this the sea bass on my spear, there's a tiger shark doing this.
He wanted your sea bass.
I kicked that sea bass off that spear. We got back in the boat.
Yeah, he wanted your sea bass.
Yeah, he did. Another time we were out there, and I was spear fishing, and I felt something bump me from behind. And I turn around, and there's this seal. And he's playing with me. And so I forgot all about fishing. I'm swimming around, and I'd stop, and he'd bump into me, and then he'd swim around and come the other side, and I'd swim this way. We were playing chase. This seal chasing him, and nothing harmful. He just bumped me.
Right. That's pretty neat.
I had a lot of good times out there. Out in California before it was as bad as it is now.
I don't even want to go there.
No, absolutely not. Oh, man. Brother, you are in a lot of pain.
Oh, I'm all right.
Yeah? Are
I'm
you?
doing good, yeah.
You are a terrible liar.
Life is wonderful.
You are a terrible liar. By the way, someone else told me that about you.
Let's talk about something, though.
All right.
Who's that governor of New York? Holcomb?
Hochul, yeah.
See where her
son?
No, it's one of her people that work for her.
Oh, yeah.
Her and her husband got arrested for being Chinese spies.
Yeah, well, all right. So it was her deputy chief of staff.
Yeah.
And
right up there in top ranks.
Yeah, deputy chief of staff. And what she was doing is the Chinese government was paying her to prevent meetings between the governor and the Taiwanese delegates. Because, just like Russia's got their eyes on Ukraine, China's got their eyes on Taiwan.
Sure.
And
looking further into that whole, let's talk about conspiracy business. All the ties that Tampon Tim has to China.
Oh, I know it. Well,
yearly trips.
This is a Democrat thing. Look at Fang Fang. You remember Fang Fang and what was that knucklehead's name? I can't even think of his name.
This is the Democrats that are saying that Republicans are going to ruin democracy.
Right.
And
well, Barbara Boxer had a driver for 40 years who was a Chinese spy. Eric Swalwell was the one that was sleeping with Fang Fang, who was a Chinese spy. This is a Democrat thing. For some reason, people in the Democrat Party are magnets to Chinese spies.
I know the reason.
Yeah, money.
That's it.
Money.
They're money, and they're not loyal to the United States. They don't care about what happens to anybody here, as long as their bank account looks good. It's the same people that want to get rid of guns but keep their security service.
Yeah. And Eric Swalwell, when he got caught with the whole Fang Fang incident, he was on the Armed Services Committee, and Foreign Affairs Committee, and they never took him off, even after it came out that he was shacked up with a Chinese spy. They never removed him from that committee assignment.
See,
isn't that nuts?
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
That is bizarre, man.
Now, once Pelosi lost, she was no longer Speaker of the House, and the Republicans took command of the House, he got removed from that committee assignment.
But as long as it was democratically controlled, it makes it okay.
Well, and going back to Tampon Tim, he and his wife honeymooned in China.
Yeah.
On the anniversary of Tiananmen Square.
That's not weird.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But nothing to see here, folks.
No. Let's open the window so we can smell the burning tires.
Yeah. Talk about some wonderful, good stuff.
Old timer, give them your tagline.
Take time to be kind, especially nowadays, man. It don't take but a minute.
Yep.
It cost you nothing. Just take a minute. Take a minute to be nice to somebody else.
And I don't want to throw something out there. Be kind to somebody who's different from you.
Yeah. Easy to be kind to the guy that's sitting next to you in church.
Yeah. Or even a guy out there on the economy that got the same hat that you got, or driving that truck.
Same belief, same kind of.
When you see that pudgy girl with the face piercings and the pink, purple, blue, and green hair, smile at her and say hi. Be nice. Be kind.
I am.
I'm just saying, maybe a little kindness thrown her way from somebody she doesn't expect might have an effect on her.
Yeah.
Yeah. As opposed to
something like that.
Pointing and laughing.
I watched something like that. There was a woman, and she's a black woman.
Yeah.
And normally I don't start my story like that, but this is relevant in this story. She's black.
Yeah.
And she walks into this place, and the first person she sees is an 80-year-old white man.
Yeah.
And she immediately forms an opinion.
Sure.
She's telling the story. She's putting this video out. She said, I immediately formed an opinion about him. And she said, he was gruff looking.
Mm-hmm.
She all wrinkled up.
Mm-hmm.
Typical old whitey.
Yeah.
And she said, I knew right away that he was probably a Trump supporter, and he was, probably had some kind of racist ideas in his mind, and he probably didn't like me.
Yeah.
And he said, and he had a grumpy looking face.
Yep.
Well, all 80-year-olds do because they're old.
Yeah. I'm going to say, I know a couple 60-year-olds that do too.
Yeah. And she said, and they were in like a line, and he was ahead of her, and he got through with his stuff, and he turned around and looked at her, and he said, how you doing? She said, and that kind of threw me aback at first.
Right.
And she's like, I'm doing okay. She said, I was very standoffish.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, why are you even talking to me?
Right.
And he said, I want to buy your meal today. And she looked at him and she said, why? He said, because she said, no. Well, first she said, oh, you don't have to. He said, oh, I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
He said, but I want to. She said, why? And he said, because I've had a couple really bad days, and I'm going to a doctor's appointment tomorrow that I don't expect to be very good, and I want some kindness and some goodness in my life right now. So I want to buy your meal.
Yeah.
And she said it just floored her.
Huh.
She said, absolutely floored her. And she said, turns out that whole judging a book by the cover thing is not what you want to do. She said, this was one of the kindest, nicest men I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And she said,
and he's going through a tough time in his life, and his response to that is to.
And she said,
come in.
Somebody drive by home. and she's like, she said, and for me to have that opinion right off the bat was so close-minded, so narrow,
racist
of my own self. She said that I almost cost both of us a good afternoon.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
So, take time to be kind, and not all the time they look like you.
Folks, we love you guys, and I hope we've been a blessing to you. I always forget to do this. If we have, I invite you to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video. Like we keep talking about, the Google doesn't care for us too much.
Google don't like us none.
Oh, by the way, my new specs.
Yeah, you showed me them last week.
Yeah.
You are getting old.
Am I?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I didn't have them for the show.
Oh.
So, I'm pointing it out.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you what, for those of y'all that, some of y'all will understand, some of you won't, these are progressive lenses. So the top is far away.
So you're a progressive now.
Yeah, I am. The center is intermediate.
And he'll have blue hair next week. Wait a minute, he don't have hair.
I have blue beard.
Blue beard next week.
And the bottom is bifocals. And man, it's taken a whole lot to learn how to use these things.
See, I'm not near as old as you, because mine are just straight up glasses.
Yeah. And there you go.
But I don't need them if I'm reading something. Even as small as this little thing is, I can sit here and read every bit of it.
Not me.
Every bit of it. But if I was going to read something like that up on your wall over there, I have no idea what that says. I know there's red letters. And if I squint real hard, I think that first letter is an S.
Folks, we love you guys. God bless you.
I can put that on and read it, but
Lord willing, we'll be back with you next Thursday.
Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.
In the meantime, I pray that you guys are blessed beyond measure.
Lift your head